Oh hey everybody, welcome to that Kilted Guy videos, and today I got a little solution for you. If you've ever had to replace a door jamb like these here that got kicked in, we've got an interior one here and an exterior one, so they're two different types and it's two different ways to replace them. So tell you what, we're going to show you how to do that. It's not really all that hard. It may sound like it, it may look like it, but it's not that bad. So we're going to do that right after this. Well, hey, welcome back and thanks for stopping by again. As always, I appreciate you guys. You guys are why I do this, and I really appreciate you stopping by. I hope you're having a good day. It's a nice hot sunny day out here, and today we're shooting hopefully with better equipment. I shot some here in the past where I've had equipment failures on the sound. Today, as you can see here in this video, we're shooting with a professional boom mic. That big old thing up there is called a Dead Cat. It's a wind noise isolator, and since we're shooting outdoors, that might be handy today. So this video should come out a lot better on sound and such. So I tell you what, we're going to get these replaced for you to show you how that process works. So let's go ahead and get set up on that. Okay, for this project, you can see I started it and then I remembered I want to give you guys a general idea of what you might need to do this. So as far as tools, you may need cordless screw gun to pull out any screws, hammer, pry bar, of course things like tape measure pencils, things like that. You may need a sawzall, or you may need a skill saw, hand saw, different kind of saws like that. The sawzall, we didn't use it, the reciprocating saw actually. We didn't use it, but if these had nails through here, we could have gone in between the door jamb and the door framing and cut right through those nails. If you can't pull them out, you're not really worried about damaging it, so you can just pull them off. Of course, your safety gear is a good idea. Hearing protection, eye protection, if you're going to make much noise. You may need a table saw. The door jamb we bought here is a slightly different width. It's actually wider, so we're going to have to cut it down so that it fits right. You also may need to cut it for length, and then you'll probably need some finish nails to reattach it, and you'll probably, and you will need some wooden shims. Now, what are wooden shims and what do they look like? Well, they look like this right here. These are wooden shims. They are basically wedge shaped pieces of wood, and you'll see how we use them, but you can put them in there. You can put one with the fat side that way and one here, and as you push them together, they basically get thicker and thicker so that you can take up that space in there. And I think that's basically it. Other than the door jamb, you can, like I say, get just one side. You can get just one side. You don't have to buy the whole three-sided arrangement. Okay, now we got all set up and it's time to show you how to do this. So let's just walk you through this process, and it's really not quite as hard as you might think. So the first thing you want to do is kind of strip the door down here. So take off your striker plate and your door deadbolt plate. You want to save those because you're probably going to reuse them. And then if it happens to have any screws driven through the jamb, which this one, because it got damaged, somebody put screws in to kind of secure it up, pull any of those out. All you want left are nails that you probably can't even see, and then you want to remove the trim. And on the outside of an exterior door like this is called brick molding, and it's just thicker trim. That's just what they call it on the exterior. On the interior, it's just door casing. Try and save it if you can. If it's damaged, you can take a piece of it to your hardware store and get some more. But if you can save it, go ahead. And then once you pull this off of here, actually you'll need some tools to do that. So let me show you what I use. I'll try and show you a closer picture here. This is what we call a Wonder Bar. I'm sure there's other names for it. but it's got a nice pry bar action here and a light one here, and you can pull nails with it. They're really handy, and of course a hammer. So in preparation for this video, what I did is I went ahead and actually pulled this off once, removed most of the nails from it, and put it back just for simplicity here. So all you do is you take the skinny thin part here and put it in here. Now these bars are meant so that you can hammer on them, and you can hammer pretty much anywhere. If you're going to do that, I'd recommend safety gear. I'm not really going to do it because I already pried this loose for you. So put it in here, drive it in, get it underways, and then just start prying it loose. Once you pry it loose, all up and down gently, try not to break it if it isn't damaged. You pull it off of here and you're ready to kind of clean it up. Now you could do this cleanup step later, but what you can do right now if you want is remove this caulking, peel it off, just kind of clean it up. You're going to have these nails sticking out here, the finished nails. You can take a pair of flush cutting pliers, like lineman's pliers, end nippers, side nippers, whatever. Clip them all off, and then this thing's ready to come back on. Now if it did get damaged, either the inside or the outside, go ahead and take a piece of it. You don't need the whole thing, just take it to your hardware store, and if it's exterior, ask for the brick mold. Interior, door casing, most any big box or lumber yard, it's going to be able to take care of you on that. Do the same thing on the inside. Anything that's attached to this upper one, this side one, this upper one, I just pulled it loose a little bit because I don't really need to get rid of the whole thing. Side one is completely gone. It was damaged anyway. And so the next thing is we just want to cut this loose and pull it out of here. So if you look behind here, you can see how it's attached. I'm going to give you a close-up view right quick. Okay, you see that big gap in there? What we do is there's normally some shims. You can see some shims right in here. There'll be shims in 3 or 4 places through here. I think the rest of these probably fell out. And then that's usually where your finished nails are going to be, although there may be screws. So anyway, you're looking for how it's attached. If it's screws, you want to pull them out with a screw gun or a drill. You don't want to try and cut them. They're hardened steel. They'll ruin your saw blade. A regular nail, however, you can cut right through those. And they're usually really thin nails anyway. So this one, it looks like it's actually barely held in here. I can't see anything holding this against the jamb. So I don't see anything holding this against the framing. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut it in half, and then we're just going to pop it out of here. So we'll go ahead and get set up and do that. Okay, there's several ways you can cut this. Like if you cut it in half, it's going to be easier to bend over and pull and pop out from up in here and here. You could do it with a skill saw. You could do it with a reciprocating saw, commonly called a sawzall, but that's actually a brand name. Or you could just do it with a handsaw, whatever works for you. We are going to try the cordless skill saw, so let's do that. Okay, we got that cut, so let's just pop this out of here. Try not to damage anything else here, because that could be attached through here. It's not really meant to come apart, but it will. Okay, there's the top part. You can see it had a lot of finished nails in it. That's how they attach it. Okay, there's most of the bottom. Now this did have a screw that I just couldn't see. It was hidden by this piece of tape. So now I'm going to finish cleaning this up a little bit, and then I'll show you the rest of it. Okay, Thought I'd show you this little part here. What I'm going to do is this upper part of the whole door jamb. It's also loose. It wasn't attached. So I want to get it lined up right before I go any further. And the way I'm going to do that is just pull the door closed gently. And then I'm going to push this brick mold back where it was, because I know it was tight against the siding here. Okay, and then holding the door against it here, I'm looking to make sure this doesn't need to go up or down, that it looks like it's lining up right this way, because all I really have to do is push it to the siding here and attach it. It looked like it was fine when I'm holding it all the way up, so I'm going to go ahead and attach it so that that's not moving anymore. Okay, I went ahead and used a screw. That's now attached. So now what we've got to do is figure out the proper length for this side piece here and go ahead and cut it. Now, if you didn't have to damage that, and even if you did, you could lay it out, put the pieces back together and just measure it and cut your new one the same length, or you can measure it right here. I will also mention that this threshold down here, which I believe is out of view, but you know, the threshold is the part you walk across. It was loose. So I looked under it and I noticed it's really loose. It had a lot of dust and debris. I blew that out, and then I ran a heavy bead of caulking under there, and that helps seal that area so air doesn't come rushing under it. So now we're going to go ahead and cut this for length and get it back over here. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how to cut your door jamb if you have to cut it, because a lot of times you do. I need to cut mine in this instance. So first things first, let's make sure you orient your door jamb right. This seal, rubber seal here, of course, has to be facing the inside. So you don't want to go cutting the wrong end, because you want to cut off of the bottom. The top, if you see here how the top is, this jamb, this door stop part here is attached to the jamb, but this needs to go up inside of there. So that's why you don't want to cut off here. And when you do have to cut off the bottom, it has the same basic setup down here. So what you have to do is 2 cuts. So let me see if I can explain that. Okay, here's the main measurement that I would do. I would measure from the bottom of this stop up here to the top of the door threshold, because that is where your stop here is going to butt. So this is going to butt against the top of this to this stop, and then at the bottom it's going to butt into the threshold. The rest of the door jamb is going to stick down past it. So the main measurement you want is the distance from here to the top of the threshold, and then you measure from the top. Let's see, it's hard to keep this in video here. You measure from the top of here, the stop part of the jamb, to down here and make a mark. And then that is the part of the stop that we want to cut away. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then you want to let the rest of it stick down about another inch. So you make another mark about an inch, and that's where you want to cut the rest of it off. So let me do that and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, and by the way, I'd measure twice, maybe 3 times, because if you screw this up, you got to go buy another $40 jamb. So I think I'll do that right quick. Okay, here's my little illustration that I drew up, and you can see it's basically our front door. And you see where I've illustrated the damaged jamb piece that we're replacing, and you see this shape of it. It has this kind of a L shape the top and the bottom. And those are called rabbet joints. So we're trying to replicate this, but it comes this way. But if you have to cut it for length, what you do is you take this measurement number 1 from the bottom of the upper part, as you see here in this illustration, to the top of the threshold. And then you take measurement number 2, which would be the total length of the door jamb itself. And then you mark it out and just take the measurement from right here as shown with this circle, and then measure 2 right here as shown with this circle. Now you've got your measurement, and you're going to cut that board so that that distance between those 2 sections is measurement number 1. And then you can just add on about 1 inch to the top and the bottom and make the entire measurement number 2 that distance if you want, or you can try and measure it exactly. It's a little confusing right here, but I hope that helped. Okay, here what I'm going to do is take my circular saw and I'm going to set the depth so that it will cut through that upper portion of the door jamb, but not the lower portion. That's going to allow me to trim away measurement number 1. And then what we're going to do is take a chisel and chisel the rest of it off, and that'll give us our length. Okay, now we've cut off the outside here, so let's see if it fits. Or do I gotta go buy another one? Okay, I believe that's going to fit. Now what you want to make sure is this inside is flush with your sheetrock. If you don't have sheetrock, allow for it, go a 1/2 inch past. But if you're replacing one like this, it should be flush out here and flush with the siding, because your brick mold is going to sit back in here. So I'm going to reattach this top piece because I know where it goes. Now if you've got everything kind of lined up here, you could pull the door shut and do a little test fit. Now what we need to do is shim this so that this comes out where it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to have this big gap right here, so that's where shims will come into place. If you were to walk in here, close the door and look, you'd see a big gap right here. So we're going to shim it out until it comes out to where it's a strong 1/8 of an inch gap, because there needs to be a little bit of room there. Okay, so taking these shims, and I want to get this top part pulled over a decent amount, so I'm going to go about 8 or 10 inches down. And then using the skinny part of this one, went in that way, and then the skinny part this way. Okay, I got this first one shimmed about where I want, and it's actually closer to a 1/4 inch gap right here. So just check how it fit elsewhere and keep the gap consistent. So we got that. We got this pulled over tight here. So now I'm going to close the door a little bit and check for alignment. If I put, hello kitty, oh hi. And so I'll pull the door over and just check and see if that looks like it's touching the same up here and over here. And it looks good all the way down, but it still needs some spacing out. So I'm going to go ahead and put a screw in right here. And I want to put it right through that shim. Now you can use finish nails, but for me this is a little faster and locks it down well. Okay, we'll keep shimming on down here. Okay, now it's best if you make sure this shim doesn't hit right where you got to put a striker plate hole. So I position this one right between the two. Now I should note too that if you need more than what 2 shims will give you, put more in there if that's what it takes. But usually 2 will work it out to where it needs to be. Okay, this thing is installed, but now we still have to figure out where to put our striker plate and our deadbolt hole. And you could take some measurements off that once you figure out the center. What I'm going to do is figure out where one of the centers on, and then I may use that strap piece to mark it, or I'll just lay it out. Now as far as these shims go, we're going to break them off, and I think we're ready to go ahead and do that. So all you have to do is just break them off, literally. Go outside. Go on, go over and lay down. Okay, now in this section I didn't actually get sound, nor did I get all of the chiseling out and everything, but basically what you do is figure out where to lay these out. You can use your old door jamb for that, or just mark the center of the bolts, and you can even turn the knob and make them hit the wood and kind of figure out where it's supposed to be, like put some marker on the end of the bolts and they'll leave a mark. Then you trace it like I show here, drill out the center with hole saws like spade bits, then take a chisel and chisel the rest of it out just deep enough to allow the striker plates to sit down in them, and screw them on and you're done. That's basically it. So here's what it looked like after I did that, and I did get a little bit of rust here and chipped out some wood, as you can see on that one, but a little bit of painter's putty, and it took care of it fine. And then after installing the hardware, this is what it looked like. So it's ready to go. Okay, as you can see, we've got it all pretty much back together. This is in place, it's solid. We got the brick mold on here a little bit. I still have to put a few more finish nails in it. And we have to reinstall the casing inside. And once you got all the casing on, that's it. I'm gonna rate this one for you today on the Kilted Guy difficulty scale. I think I'm gonna have to bump this up and say it's about a 7, maybe an 8. Depends on your skill, what you're comfortable with. I'm gonna wrap it up for today. I've got another interior one to do. I'll do that on a separate video if you wanna see that. They're much easier, I'm gonna tell you that right now, for a couple of reasons. We actually build that one out of a 1x6 and some door stop, and then one hole, and we're done. So it's gonna be quite a bit easier. If you wanna check that video out, it will come out after this one. But until then, be sure and check out our Patreon link. We're gonna be putting out some videos early and some bonus videos that nobody else is gonna see. Bonus pictures, articles, inside chat. Patreon is also a way for you to connect with me if you want to ask me further questions. I'm going to answer questions there first, and then I'll look to YouTube and answer those questions as well. But anyway, check it out. Be sure and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos, and I'll look for you on the next video. Let me see who all's there. Yeah, I got all your faces memorized. All right. Till then, we'll see you on the next video. Take care.